Hi, I'm Schofield. I'm the CEO of GiftGaff. I mean, culture's a fascinating thing, isn't it? I mean, you know when you've got a great one, but it's very difficult to pin it down. Maybe, one of the first things I witnessed when I joined the company was that sense of culture. Actually, it was sort of present just from the walk from the main door into the kitchen. There was a certain energy about the place, which I thought was compelling, and I thought I need to work at GiftGaff. This is there's something special going on here, and I guess since I joined, it's been my mission over the last 7 years to kind of build on that culture really, and make sure that it's there and is present to help propel us forward. Because let's be honest, it's the culture of the place that really makes the difference. There's lots of companies that can potentially do what we do, but it's the culture, I think, that is the defining difference. I think what's fascinating for GiftGaff is that the journey started very much as a startup. It was a concept that people wanted to bring to life, and I think that experience of survival in many ways in that kind of first 18 months to 2 years should never leave you, really, because I think that gives you grit, a level of resilience, and a level of kind of openness to accepting failure, because failure's not a bad thing, right? As long as you don't make a habit of it. There's awful lot you can learn from, so from the early days, just getting the business to a point where we were starting to build it to scale was an incredible journey, and we all learned a lot along the way, I think, which we've tried to capture, if you like, and so we can play it forward. I think one of the most important decisions that was made at the start of the GiftGaff journey was that we would be a separate business. So we had to stand on our own 2 feet and kind of define what it meant to be a GiftGaffer. Define our own GiftGaff way of doing things. And there's a real richness in that, because people have got a lot of skin in the game then. When I joined, I think I was 3 years into the journey, and there was probably about 5 or 6 people in the room of about 40 people. It was the whole team at that point. And I could tell that those people had something about them. They were the culture in many ways. It was their behaviours that were defining how the rest of the organisation ticked. And being a sort of realist, really, you know that those people ultimately are going to move on at some point. But what I couldn't risk is the culture moving on with those people. That would be a travesty. I was, I joined the company as the chief marketing officer, and there's, in order to be authentic as a brand, it's got to be kind of inside out, right, in terms of what you ultimately take to market. You've got to feel it inside the company. So as well as being CMO, I sort of self-appointed culture champion as well, really, because I wanted that to thrive. So I reached out to the team then and said, does anyone want to get involved and be a culture champion too? And about half a dozen people did, and we wrote a little book that was called the GiftGaff Book of GiftGaff. Lots of pictures that captured the essence of the place, but a few important words as well that just kind of said what we were all about. So just that process of starting to document who we were, we've been able to build into the way we do things going forward. So if you're coming for a job at GiftGaff, then after the first interview, if you're coming for a second interview, we give you a copy of the Book of GiftGaff. Because it's important that you read it, and it's important that you buy into how we do things. It's important that you buy into the culture as much as we buy into your skills and talent. So just starting to document it, starting to build into the way that we bring new people into the business. at Gift Gaff, we're a positive bunch. It's always kind of half full. What can you do with what you've got? Kind of attitude. We're a gritty bunch because in the early days there was a lot of obstacles to overcome to kind of grow the business. We're very collaborative by nature. You don't get on at Gift Gaff by sort of climbing over your colleagues. You do it by sharing your ideas and getting builds from your colleagues to make those ideas even better. Or actually sometimes being man enough, brave enough to park an idea and admit that someone else's idea is better. Do you know what I mean? So collaboration is massively key, and we hugely value curiosity, because I think I'm quite a mild-mannered character, but one thing that always gets me going, gets me quite annoyed, is if anyone says, yeah, we sort of always done it that way, it just is a bit of a red flag for me, because it signals to me that maybe that precious culture that we have is maybe at risk, because you don't say that when you're in a startup, do you? You never say as a startup, oh yeah, we've always done it like that. That's the kind of commentary that you hear in legacy businesses. And we're not a legacy business, we still want to capture that startup energy. We've got a kind of purpose statement as well, which is about, Gift Gaff's here to harness the power of people, challenge the established way, and improve it. And we constantly remind ourselves of those words, and it's not a set of words that just lives in the book of Gift Gaff. I hear it repeated around the office. Which means we're acting on it, to go back to what's the importance of culture. Well, I think with that kind of statement built into your DNA, it creates a constant level of evolution, reinvention, maybe at its best, and of course in the dynamic working environment that we're in, then it's essential. I joined the company 7 years ago. 2 years ago, I was lucky enough to become the CEO, which was hugely humbling, to lead a wonderful company like this. But we were also coming up to our 10th birthday, so it just felt like a real crossroads. And in my mind, I was thinking, wow, we're 10. Does that mean we're an old business? Because it still feels like a new business. So I kind of had this continuum in my head, like, are we an old business or a new business? And I asked a few people, and they said, no, we're still a new business. I was like, yeah, but I reframed the question then. I said, yeah, but are we an old new business or a new business? And I don't know, I sort of had this fear that maybe if we didn't watch out, we could become an old new business. And there are other businesses out there that might now become the kind of shining star, the reference point to inspire others. So I wasn't comfortable with that. So there was a lot to be celebrated on our 10th birthday, but with it also came quite a lot of pressure, really, in a way, to make sure that we had a pathway to the next 10 years. So that was kind of my rallying cry to the business, really, was that now's the time to pause and draw strength from what we've achieved, but really pay it forward to what we're going to do with that for the next 10 years. Because as a new CEO, I want my legacy to be that together as a team we went again. We kind of reinvent ourselves again, and we're even stronger. I was reflecting earlier on this year about how Gift Gaff makes decisions, and being a marketing person by trade, I tend to think in Venn diagrams and 2x2s. And a new Venn diagram popped out as I was just trying to capture Gift Gaff's approach to decision making. And first and foremost, I think there's an element of values-led decision making that's at the heart of what we do. Coupled with that, and particularly when we're at our best, it's matched by strong insight, and those two things coming together create an awful lot of kind of passion and direction and buy-in, I think, for people. But they don't exist in isolation, right? Because you have values and insight for a reason, and that's to deliver commercial benefits. You know, GiftGaff is kind of useless if it doesn't scale, right? It naturally needs to grow, and hopefully be a great example of the ways to do business. So there's nothing excites us more than growth, you know. So I kind of see great decisions being the intersection between the values that we cherish, the insight-led thinking, and our desire to keep delivering on the commercials. You know, I think the more that we can get the overlap between those three pillars, if you like, is the real sweet spot. And that's I see that all the time, actually, in the way that GiftGaff approaches, you know, the planning cycle and what we're going to do next. You know, what we've learned, particularly over the last 2 years, really, is that if you want to bring agility into your culture, you know, then don't try and predict the future. You know, in absolute terms, it's a crazy thing to do. Just look at 2020. You know, how on earth can you plan for what we've experienced with COVID-19? So what we try and do is focus on outcomes, and we've organised the team into product teams, and each product team is owning code, right? It's owning a part of the business. And therefore we want them to think about how we can make that part of the business go that little bit quicker, you know, to drive up value for our shareholder and for our members. You know, we want to see that net promoter score increase from what is already in a high level in the high 60s. You know, these are the things that are our reference points. You know, so you've got quite a high degree of personal caring, if you like, for each component part of the business, and people are trying to push those forward. But it all coming together as different component parts of the jigsaw. It was funny when I took over as CEO from being the CMO. I had a bit of an epiphany, really, because as the CMO, I was always thinking about GiftGaff as being a very marketing-orientated business, which on reflection meant there was a few of us in marketing that were driving a pretty strong narrative for the way that we thought the business should approach things. But when I changed jobs, you know, I kind of realised quite quickly I'm running a technology company, actually, and probably about 60% of people that work for us are in technology roles. And, you know, I want to build a business that, you know, has got scale and a long future. So it can't rely on individuals. It needs to develop a way of working that creates that level of sustainability. But I didn't want to lose this sense of marketing orientation either. So in my own mind, it sort of made sense to play back to the business. I think we're a technology business, but I think we're a brand-led technology business. And another way of looking at that is perhaps, you know, we're an insight-led agile company. You know, and when I think about it in those terms, it's like, yeah, that feels like a good company to work for. That feels like it's going to drive good results. But just bringing it to life, that thought of brand-led technology again is what if every software engineer, you know, really cared about every line of code they wrote, to the extent that they were thinking about how our GiftGaff members, anyone that used that code, were going to feel as a result of experiencing it. What a powerful thought that was. And as I got closer and closer to technology, I was just so impressed with the kind of hypothesis-based thinking, the lean UX approaches. It's like, look at how much could the rest of the business from commerce and marketing learn from adopting some of those technology principles. So rather than marketing and kind of going off into a dark room and coming out with the answer, what if we just got in the habit of framing hypotheses around what was possible, and then sharing that with technology. From the outset, we've not had our own shops. We don't have a call center. We have some agents to help people where they need it, but quite frankly, they tend to be contacted. Someone who joins Giftgraph tends to contact an agent something like once every 5 years. So it's the self-help element is important, but most important of all is don't create problems in the future in the first place. Which is, again, thinking through that kind of technology lens, is design problems out of the experience. That's the most important thing. So kind of no call centers, no shops of our own. This kind of lean mentality, this fusion of brand and technology. I think all those elements, along with a wonderful community that are constantly giving us feedback and keep us honest, all those components kind of put us in a strong position, for the future. We'll keep all those channels open, because I think it creates opportunities for us, and wherever we think Giftgraph can be useful, we'll take that opportunity.